I've got to talk about this because basically narcissists have always been a part of my life, whether I knew it or not. What I realised was that I always gave of narcissists, and they always took. And I didn't know that that was the case. I was always just told something along the lines of, you know, it's my fault that such and such a thing's happened to me. Taking responsibility for your own actions. Yeah, I mean, there's nobody else that can take responsibility for your actions except you. What a narc will do is they'll say that you don't take responsibility for your actions. So the particular, I just woke up, and I woke up thinking about this particular person, and I think about this particular person all the time, and I don't want to even utter their name because basically it's a pattern in my life. That's what it is, where I will meet someone who's bad for me, and I will feed them, and I will help them, and they will take advantage of me. Now, at one point, I met someone, and I knew that they didn't love me. That wasn't the point. I knew that there was no love in them, and I think for me, I just wanted to love somebody. That's what it was. I wanted to. I'd been hurt. I'd been really I'd gotten to a point where I just needed to love again, and this person came along, and I liked them a lot. And looking back on it now, I realised that they were a narcissistic personality, and if I'd have known that then, I wouldn't have put any effort into knowing them at all. But I liked them, and I liked them because of the fact that, you know, we were both trans, so we were both in a kind of a transitional stage. She was further along than me. She was also richer than me, and you know, I had money, but you know, it was running out, and I was looking for this elusive job. She already had a job, and she'd sort of spent her life and all of this stuff, and but yeah, she also had narcissistic traits that I didn't recognise. I just thought it was Asperger's or something. I just thought she had this kind of you know, the way she laughed, it was very fake. You know, she kind of go and it was always very fake. Everything about her was fake. She got you know, a lot of surgery, and I hadn't got any surgery. At that time, I was just starting to sort of transition. I was sort of experimenting with clothes, seeing what worked, seeing what didn't, realising, you know, clothes, if clothes don't make the man, they don't make the woman. And she had a very basic fashion sense as well, and but she was typically she did this typical kind of pageantry thing where she would like dress up in outlandish clothes, drag or something like that, or she would because she'd spent thousands on her face to make it look beautiful, and she did look good. And I think that the problem was that in our communication, when we were communicating, she didn't understand that it's not what she looked like on the outside. Obviously, I could understand the wanting to need surgery thing a lot. I still think about getting surgery. But she was doing this thing, and they, I know that they call it trapping, where basically, and it's the Kardashian thing or something like that, where basically someone will get surgery and there'll be this beautiful face all of a sudden, and they'll buy into this kind of like idea that that now they're beautiful on the outside, that they're beautiful on the inside. What I wanted to do was I wanted to prove to her that she was beautiful on the inside as well, and I couldn't. That's when I realised, only like years later, that she was a narcissist. Now, I was kind of like in this point where I wake up sometimes, I wake up thinking, you wake up thinking, how did I let myself get into a position where I was allowed to be treated so badly by so many people? And it's just what happens a lot is, I'm one of these people who, instead of fighting fire with fire, I'll try and fight fire with, love, basically. Hate. Don't fight hate with hate, fight hate with love. And that's how they really just drain you of your energy. Because they don't have the capacity to love. That's what I realise now. And why they were so successful as well. I shut down completely in my head. I'd had several really bad experiences, and then there was this kind of like massive sort of party, but by this time I was on the verge of like like mental breakdown again. I could feel it. I could feel the intensity. I was part of this whole toxic scene. I was on my own, and I felt like there was nobody. But it wasn't even just like I felt like there was nobody. Like, there was nobody there for any support or help or love, and no love was coming to me. And I was giving out all of this love, and there was like nothing left for me. And so basically, I realized that this was a sociopathic narcissist. Now, like, people would consider me to be a sociopathic narcissist as well. They've said to me that they consider me to be a covert narcissist, that I always try to use guilt or something like that, or I try and use subversive tactics to try and get what I want, and that she'd be an overt narcissist where she could just act like a brat and people would just love her. And I was actually part of that process as well, where I felt sorry for her, in a lot of ways. And I think that she'd gotten used to that. She'd gotten used to people feeling sorry for her, doing things that she wanted. If she didn't get her way, she would throw a tantrum. She wouldn't throw a tantrum. She'd be more controlling about that. So she'd do the opposite of what. In particular, this is a very good example of how she used to garner attention. How she used to stay the center of attention would be how she got a nose job, and she was told by the doctor not to do anything with her nose at all, and within the day she was picking the stitches out of her nose and she got a massive nosebleed, and it was all just to create this drama. And as I was going through this process, and I realised I was trying to be a friend, and I love my friends, and she couldn't distinguish that there's love and then there's love. And I think that's a problem for a lot of people, because when I say I love you, I do love you, but there's like so many people, there's like our friends, you use that word too liberally. But I always try to, it's difficult because I always try to explain, well look, Russians have like 20 different words that all describe different kinds of love, and I wouldn't necessarily be able to learn those words because I'm lazy. but yeah, the love that I have for my friends, the love that a romantic love, I haven't felt that before, I have, but not often enough to be able to get to a point where I actually say I really love you, in a way that means I love you more than just a friend. And I would say I love her, and she would get confused in her head, and she'd be like, no, we're just friends. And I was like, yeah, we are just friends, but I love you. I love you. I think you're a beautiful person. I think you're an amazing woman. I think you're great. And I tried to do these affirmations for her. But what I realised is that in their own minds, they don't have this capacity to be. What they have is they have preconditioned, automated responses that they consider to be normal, and they're like chameleons, they're like mimics. And this is the thing, what this person did was she really ruined for me the expression of the way that people can really take their image and start to believe the lies. So there's nothing wrong about trying to make yourself a little bit prettier for the camera. There's nothing wrong with trying to make yourself a little bit more, as a trans woman, passable in the public eye, because nobody wants negative attention. People want positive attention. And these particular kinds of women, they see real women, cis women, as getting a lot of beautiful cis women, as getting a lot of attention from men or other women, and they're like, I want to be like that, and it kind of destroys the whole feminine principle of what trying to transition meant, at least for me personally. So transitioning just means, so she became, really, basically she met other narcissists, like, and basically, when groups of people get together, they can be really dangerous, and they were really dangerous. And she ended up living a very kind of fantasy life. Things for me didn't necessarily go as well, because I had so many things going wrong in my life. I was wondering why, and it was because I wasn't playing the game the way that they were playing this sort of game, I was just kind of like trying to be myself, trying to be free, trying to express myself, trying to express my femininity, trying to kind of like come out and sort of go, you know, yes, you know, there's so many things about being trans that are complicated, like, you know, but, you know, we've got this masculine energy in us, we've got this feminine energy in us, and I want this feminine energy to be kind of expressed in a really positive and all of this kind of thing, and she was sort of, you know, going, I want to, you know, fuck lots of girls, and I want to like be a porn star, and all of this kind of stuff. And it was working for her, and so she was kind of living this fantasy life, and people were feeding it and feeding it and feeding it, and it worked. And so it ended up, and it's gonna be a night that I will always remember, where, you know, I ended up basically in a pit of, you know, all of her admirers, I suppose it would be, and on my own completely, and you know, they just, you know, kind of like sectioned me off, and then they just love bombed her to, like, you know, death basically. They were just like, you know, all of her sexual fantasies were kind of realised. She must have felt like she was God basically, and that's the point where it's like, for a narcissist, they want to be seen like God, they want to be seen as a God, and then people are just kind of affirming this, and people are going, yes, you are God, you are God, you are God, and, you know, she's buying into it. And then, you know, the target of, like, me being, you know, the outsider of this group basically. So it's basically like that. And whether it's whatever or whatever, you know, we've got so many different kinds of people doing different kinds of things for different reasons. Yeah, so my experience ended up being a really negative experience, and it wasn't the first time that that's happened, where I was singled out, isolated, left alone, and with nothing but myself to keep myself sane basically. I didn't have anybody for validation to kind of go, you know, you're a valid person, you're a beautiful person, you're a lovely person here, you know, let me validate you sexually, let me validate you this. And I have to, you know, had to self-validate, self-love. And then it was, somebody said something the other day to me, and it was really good, and I was really in this kind of flow of thought, of consciousness, about what had happened. And I was just like, you know, I'm so sick of people telling me such and such a thing, you know, and we had a little bit of a dialogue. It wasn't very, you know, a deep dialogue. I mean, how you know, you don't really want to, and especially for me as well, I don't really want to be, I'd already given what I feel like was a lot of supply to them for their narcissism, because I think we all have it. We all have the capacity to be narcissistic. We all want to be able, we all love ourselves in some capacity. Narcissists are not capable of being able to love themselves. That's the difference. So whether or not all of that, you know, so and I ended up saying, you know, some kind of something along the lines, you know, of, you know, yeah, she said that doesn't necessarily mean that just because you self-love doesn't mean necessarily everybody else is going to love you. And then it's like, yeah, of course not. And then you kind of get into the sort of the more the mindset of the game that the narcissists are kind of playing, because they can't self-validate, they can't self-love, they don't know how to. They don't know how to self-reflect. They don't know how to actually, you know, look inward and love themselves, as hard as that might be. And what they do is they want people to validate themselves, and so the game is to try and get everybody to love them. So that's winning, basically, when everybody does love you, when you can get up on stage and everybody kind of goes, oh, we love you, or, you know, loads of people want to have sex with you. That's one of the biggest narcissistic kind of traits. Is another video was talking about how great narcissists are at sex. They know exactly what you want, they know exactly how to turn you on, and the sex is amazing. But from the narcissist's point of view, you're just one of, you know, many people who are validating them, you know, and I think that's the kind of typical sort of narcissistic. So what they'll do is they will play people politics, yeah. And people politics is all about trying to make other people love you, you know, whether you're lying about it or not, you know, as long as you're getting that validation. So as long as, you know, and that's, you know, the game, right? And you're winning if this is what we're taught. You're winning if you're a porn star and you get to do sex all the time. You know, you're losing if you end up being a working class, you know, beneath the poverty line person who doesn't really have a lot of external validation. It's all about external validation. Oh, you drive an Audi, that means that, you know, people love you enough to give you an Audi. Oh, you know, you don't have a car because nobody loves you enough to get you a car. Ha! I win the game because, you know, people love me and people don't love you. That means I win the game. And that's the mindset of the way that they play life. So they play life like a game, and other people self-validate this game. I mean, they validate this game. So the more people who validate this game and sort of go, yes, you're, you know, they think, oh, I am beautiful, and someone says you are beautiful, and they go, of course I'm beautiful. And then you've got I don't know how to, because at the moment I'm talking about all of these stuff, and someone said to me, oh, you're a survivor. And at the time I didn't know what that meant, and I had been through so much that even to this day, all I feel, you know, I wake up with just feelings of revenge and feelings of anger, and I just don't like feeling like that. And it's because, you know, they wounded my ego, essentially. And the problem is that a wounded ego is nothing, but I'm also dealing with like some genuine physical and, you know, mental issues that make dealing with a wounded ego harder to deal with, because people say, oh, that's just your ego talking, and you're like, no, that's my pain talking, trying to be heard. And what you're doing is you're ignoring my pain by saying it's my ego, and my ego then has to sort of deal with the fact that it's then being ignored as well, because essentially, you know, ego comes from how basically you see yourself. So so then well, basically, if you're injured, physically injured, because I think we've got different levels. We've got the physical level, we've got the emotional level, we've got the spiritual level, we've got the intellectual level. We've got the the metaphysical level. And then we've got this external level, and it's the external level that narcissists care about the most. So if you're hurt on any of these levels, your ego kind of says, well, hold on a second, I shouldn't be in any physical pain, I shouldn't be in any emotional pain, I shouldn't, because your ego has such a, depending on how your ego is, has a good self image. So whereas your self-image is something that you create on your own between you and yourself, your external ego is how other people externalize and validate you. So, and this is why someone was saying how narcissists tend to go into, or at least borderline narcissists tend to go into things like acting and porn and things like this, because they need that external validation. They need people to go, you're amazing, you're a great shag, you're an amazing musician, you're a fantastic writer, you're a fantastic everything, you're fantastic. And if that matches up to your self-validation, then you just kind of go, great. But if you're a narcissist, in the back of your mind, you're not going to believe them, or you're just going to, I don't know, feed off that. I don't know. I don't know. This particular person, what it was, and this is just, I'm trying to talk about it without feeling sorry for myself, basically. But how can you not really? But whatever. But yeah, so basically, it was just, this has happened my whole life, so it's not anything new. It was just on another level, a different level of narcissistic abuse, where I was invited to a party. It was an adult party, and I didn't get any love. I didn't get any external validation, and they did. So that's basically like going out for dinner and sitting down at dinner, and then you're just like, you look across the table and they're all, they're eating everything, and you're just like, look in front of you and there's just like, there's fucking nothing, and you're just like, well, hold on a minute, I'm hungry. How comes they get to eat all of the food and I don't, basically? And you're just like, now see, people will call you a narcissist for saying that that external validation, or that or that you need to self-love, because etc, etc. This was the conversation I had with with this woman the other day, where she was just like, you don't need external validation, but on that level, bad. It's a bad analogy, but on that level, if you do see someone eating all of this food, and you're just like sitting there, kind of going, well, hold on a minute, how comes I don't have any food? It's actually, it taps into the primeval brain, which is down here, not up here. The primeval brain, Neanderthal brain. It taps into that lizard brain, that monkey brain, and they do experiments with monkeys all the time. They do experiments with animals all the time, where they will, feed a monkey, and then they'll give a monkey like a berry, and they'll give the other monkey a berry. And then they'll give like one monkey 2 berries, and then the other monkey, they'll give the other monkey 1 berry, and the other monkey will go, well, hold on a minute, and they'll start to like kind of do this kind of primitive sort of like act out, like wait, this is unfair, this is an uneven transaction, what's going on? Very unfair, very unfair. So these monkeys kind of have an ability to be able to go to be able to judge fairness, and when that's on a human level, well, you're supposed to just accept it and kind of go, okay then, you know, and you're not allowed to act out. And what happens is, you're supposed to be able to control this primitive brain. You know, you're supposed to be able to go, well, that's life, you know, that monkey got 2 berries and I didn't. You know, obviously, the external validation part of it was, you know, they got everything and I got nothing. And this primitive part of my brain, at this point in my life as well, I've been dealing with so much negativity, I'd opened up to her as well on a few levels about what to do, about stuff, and then I was getting so much negativity, and I was just thinking, why am I getting so much negativity? Like, put out love, just put out love, you know. And maybe that's bad, because maybe I got given bad advice, and I think I did, because, well, I know I did, because I had these really shitty guru type people who'd be like, remember, fight hate with love, sort of thing. Or, you know, if someone gives you hate, give them love in return. And I went to Thailand at one point. This was years ago though, and it's nuggets of information that sit in your head. And this guru was saying this kind of stuff, and we went off, and I was sitting down with this guy, and we were talking, and he was just like, no man, like, you don't want to be a fucking toilet, do you? I was like, what? And he was like, all they're doing is they want to put all of the hate into you, and then they want you to love them back. It's like, no man, it's like, don't accept any hate, only accept love and give love. And I was like, dude, that is fucking deep, man. Like, yeah, totally. Like, you're right. And then I was thinking, oh, this fucking spiritual teacher, she's not fucking that spiritual, is she? Because what she's saying is, you know, accept hate, but give love. He's like, no. Accept love, give love. Don't reject hate. But I was still kind of stuck in this process. But then, what can you do? When someone hates you, or someone is putting that kind of negativity towards you, I can kind of understand in some way, where she was just like, when someone, you know, but then that's why he akined it to being a toilet. You know, when someone gives you all of this shit, you know, give them love in return, you know, and then you become a kind of machine for like turning shit into love, basically. And it's just like, that's a toilet, dude. That's not a human being, that's a toilet. You've just allowed yourself to be spiritually, emotionally used as someone else's conduit for hate. And then they start to get to the, oh, if I put all of this shit in, I get love out. And you're the one that's actually doing that. So you've actually got to somehow learn to change that mechanism inside of you. So, I don't know. What I do know is that when I wake up in the morning, like, I'm in extreme I'm in extreme pain. I'm gonna make a video about that as well. I keep on trying to make a video about it, but I always get, lost, and this is already a 35-minute video. But then my mind just goes back to thinking, oh gosh, that night was so horrible. That was a nasty thing to do. And I think about it like that. And then I'm stuck in this kind of, I don't want to feel these negative emotions, and yet I'm feeling them. I'm trying to feel them without letting them affect me. I'm also stuck, with the memory of what happened. That's the problem. I'm stuck with the memory of what happened. And I'm stuck with how I reacted to it as well, because after things happened so much, there were several instances where bad events had happened. That was just another event. I mean, fucking hell, it's just I can't, people will just belittle your experiences and stuff like this. That's it. We've all got a hard life, but this was like one after the other, after the other, after the other, and in the end, that verbal diarrhea, it just came out. I was just like, I fucking hate you, I fucking despise you, I fucking, all manner of curses came out. And I just thought, this isn't me, this is the pain talking, but it's coming out anyway. This negativity has now built up inside of me until now I'm spewing hatred, and I have no real way of being able to sort of fight back. I have no real way of being able to make them feel the way that I felt, the way that they made me feel. And then they made me feel something that I would never feel usually. They've become this, thing. They've become this negative force in my life, and I just want, and then all of a sudden, without consciously even realizing it, you start to fight fire with fire. And that's what they want, because they're used to hatred. They know how to do it, and what they want is, they are the people. We'll get in. You can't really get too deep into like how people trigger you, but like narcissists will trigger you. Narcissists will know what buttons to push, how to push them, how to get illicit responses from you, whether it's sexually or emotionally. What they do is they play you like a machine, because they do that. So if you're a little bit broken, that's great for them, because you see it actually. And there was a TV show called Almost Human, where the people, Almost Human, and they had these robots who were very lifelike. And there's these games that these people were playing where they would boot up the computer, and then they would hack into the robot, and then once the robot was hacked and stuff like that, they would tell it to walk off a window, and push it over a ledge, or like hit it with cricket bats. And because it was programmed to be this kind of helpful automaton, basically there to serve, but it's just a machine, so they don't feel pain. But then that's the thing. They only see you as a machine. They only see you as some kind of biological machine. Like, narcissists get to a point in their head where they believe themselves to be these kinds of godlike beings. Their egos believe themselves to be godlike beings. This isn't like a kind of like a self-image, like the image of like wanting to be the best you can be. This is like a kind of like ego trip of, I'm a god and these things are my play toys, yeah? And if I want to destroy this particular play toy, I will. And look how funny it is when I break this particular toy and the way it acts when I've broken it. Isn't it funny? You know, and everyone laughs because it's funny you've hurt somebody. You see a lot of that kind of going on in today's world, actually. So, oh god, I kind of making this into a response video for this girl, because this girl because I had this really bad communication with her over the internet in words, and afterwards I felt like half of the communication, she communicated really well with me, but then I didn't communicate as well with her as I wanted to, and then I have real trouble expressing myself with words because I'm dyslexic, so that was difficult as well. And I was trying to get all of these kind of like, I'm angry, but I'm justified in being angry because, you know, and she's like, oh, I've been bullied too, and I was like, yeah, I know, like we've all been bullied, but I've gotten to a point now where I realised that, you know, I've been bullied my whole life, and I'm so fed up of it, and then I've gone, enough is enough, I'm not going to take this shit anymore, I'm going to fight back. And, you know, that's the problem. As soon as you fight back, you give them exactly what they want, whether it's emotional, you know, whether it's you have some kind of emotional breakdown and you start going, oh, fuck you fucking cunt, and, you know, oh gosh, language, fuck you, you know, I hate you, blah blah blah. You know, they're going to be sitting there going, oh, look at them, ah, la. Or whether it's violence and you actually start going, oh, fuck, you know, really just like, fuck you, yeah, I'm going to, you know, you've lost it then, you know, and you've got these, you've crossed this line into, like, you know, abuse. Then now you've become an abuser and you've then got to carry that weight, you know, you've got to carry the weight of that, and that's not going to necessarily kind of match up in your head, because if you're an empathic person, or at least if you have empathic temper, you know, if you can feel, and then you hurt someone, all of a sudden you're going to feel that as well, and you're going to be like, fuck, I've hurt someone. Whereas a narcissist will go and then hurt someone and they'll go, I don't feel anything. They don't feel anything. It's sociopathy, it's psychopathy, where they'll hurt you and they just don't give a fuck. They don't care if they've hurt you. And if you end up being in what I consider to be the circus of fucking horrors, yeah? If you end up being in the circus of horrors, yeah, that's gonna make any empath break. And I think that most empaths will kind of just end up, this is what they want, they'll end up becoming one of the sheep with their heads broken and their heads bowed, and in reverence to this, you know, almighty group force. And then you'll have the occasional person like me, who I was broken years ago. You can't break what's already broken, but you can break it again and again and again. And the problem is you break them. That's the thing about being a survivor. All of a sudden, someone said the thing about survivors is that they're dangerous because they know that they can survive. That's so true, because you suddenly go, well, fuck this, and it's all primitive thinking, fight and flight, you know, fairness and unfairness, animalistic desires, like self-validation, like procreation, like who can pull the most beautiful people, who can have sex the most, who's got more notches on their bedpost, and all of that kind of thing. And it gets to a point where you're just like sick of people taking advantage of you, and you fight back. And then you just you kind of give them everything that they want then. And that's the thing, when you give a narcissist everything they want, that's the external validation that they need. So it's important to not give them that. So if you're like me, which not a lot of people are, and you're kind of at a point where you've crossed this line, and you can't go back, but you're trying to find new meaning in this pain, new experience, and trying to make it mean something, because there's no meaning in life really, is there? And I think that's where this whole narcissistic kind of principle comes in, because they would just be like, well, you know what, you only live once, so I'm gonna kind of live for the day, and I'm gonna do it. And it's like, it's not my fault you're failure at life. I've won at life and you're a failure at life. Meanwhile, the rest of us struggle on. We struggle on. We continue to try and improve, try and not be a part of the problem that we've been drawn into. Try and create a positive experience from a negative experience for yourself, because there's nothing else you can do. So that's it really, and I didn't want to speak for too long. And I doubt the person I'm going to post this to is even going to... I hope they do, because I made this video because I felt bad about how I'd spoken to them, because they were trying to help. And I was just like, yeah, well, I don't believe you, basically, but thanks anyway. Like, you're a liar, but you've given me some good advice, and I'll think about it, because it's really good advice, actually. So, fucking thanks, but fucking... So, but it comes across wrong in word. It comes across differently in words, especially if you have difficulty with words, and I do. And that's another thing, as I'll talk about. With my 15 subscribers, thank you, subscribers. I don't even know who you are. I don't even think I think some of them are like people that are from my past, and I'm like. Yeah, I discarded you, basically. I cut you out of my life for a fucking reason, yeah? You were toxic, bad, you fed all of the negative ego traits in me that I have worked my life to try and, get rid of. I was going to get rid of, or at least... Yeah, you feed the cancer, man. No way. It's like... but I don't know. I don't know if anybody. If there is like, if they're still sticking around and watching these videos, that's crazy. But what I'm saying is, if you have stuck around and you are wondering, why did she cut me out of her life? I didn't do anything wrong. What you've got to understand is that I cut fucking everybody out of my life. Not just one person. Everyone. Every single person. I had. I've never been a popular person ever. I think the people I had in my life, I kept a Facebook for a while, and the people that I kept were people that I kept in my life. Hundreds of people. When it got to a point where I went no contact, and I was just like, no. You're gone, you're gone, you're gone, you're gone, you're gone, you're gone, you're gone. You're all fucking gone. Fuck you. You could have helped me, and you didn't. You fucked me up. Like, as much as anybody has, and I let you still be a part of my life. So I'm not fucking sorry that I cut you out of my life. Yeah? Part of me feels that heartache, but there's just, I removed someone, and she was a normal kind of friend, right? She'd never done anything to me wrong, ever, really. She was a complete. I realised she was a narcissist, actually, but you know, she was one of these benign people who genuinely kind of thinks, you know, I have got such a good life. There's no need to be me. So there's a little semblance of a heart there, actually. And I discarded her, basically. And she messaged me. She was like, "Oh, you removed me." And I messaged her back and I said, "It's not personal. It's not. Like, everything that happened with this past relationship," and this is a different relationship again. I just jumped from one fucking toxic relationship to another. I can't do it anymore. I can't keep fucking people in my life who bring negativity into my life. And the thing about it is she never really brought any negativity into my life. But then that's the thing. She was like, "Why did you remove me?" And I said, "Because of everything that happened with this other person. Every time I see you, I am reminded of all of the bad times. And I don't want that anymore. Like, because I don't need it in my life anymore. I've got to move on. I've got to heal. And that means letting go of the past. It means letting go of all of those things that I was holding on to because I was trying to build a life for myself. And that life is gone now, essentially. And that means saying goodbye to you as well. And it's really hard to do, actually. And then that part of me that feels that goes, "I really want you back in my life. But there's no way I could allow you back in my life. There's no way I could allow myself back in your life while I'm still hurt. While I'm still in a point in my life where I wake up every morning going, I fucking hate everything. Because I don't want to be that kind of person in your life. I want to be a positive force in your life. I don't want to be a negative force in your life. I don't want to be the angry person. I want to be a positive person in your life, but I am too hurt." And that comes out, it's starting to spill out into my life. It's starting to hurt the people I love. So to save the people I love, ironically, I pushed them away. And ironically, again, that hurt them. But it will, it will hurt them less than if it had been a drawn out process where my, descent into madness carried on going, and I started hurting them more and more, and I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I can't handle it anymore. I can't do it. I can't keep. I don't have anything left for you. I don't. I've got enough for myself now. And barely that. And I got to look after myself because nobody else is going to. They've had lifetime. And somebody posted as well, I just don't understand why somebody could be in your life 1 second and gone the next. And I posted, the last message I posted to her, I said, "You had your chance with me to prove you loved me, and you didn't. Okay, that's what makes life precious. When you're with someone, you're supposed to give make the most of the time that you've got together to make it beautiful. What you did though was you made that time with me, you wasted it. You thought I was always gonna be there, and then one day I was gone, and then you feel the void, and that's not what I wanted. But the void is all of the things that you failed to have in me while you had me, while I was there, while I was with you, while I was actually in your life. You had a chance to love me and you didn't, and now I'm gone and you wonder why. And that is what they can't understand. They can't understand why. And they're never going to be able to understand why. So, you know, this video is kind of coming close to an hour, and I want to end it on an hour. So I'm gonna just, you know, end it here, because I could rant all day. But it comes down to all of those missed opportunities in your life. You look back and you think, oh fuck, I should have taken advantage of that, or oh fuck, I should have taken advantage of that. But here's the thing, I've always been the kind of person that's seen an opportunity and gone, great, I'm going to go for that, and then it doesn't work out, and I go, fucking hell, alright, chalk that up to another lost cause. You know, just alright, fine. You know, you ask that person on a date, they say no, you go fine. You go for the job, you don't get the job, you go fine. But at least you tried. The thing is, they will always look at you while you're in their life. They will always look at you like, hey, this is something that's always going to be a thing, and then one day it's just not. And a psychopath, a narcissist, will not give a flying shit. And the other people who do have some kind of like feelings and emotions will kind of go, why has this happened? You know, and you just go, you should have fucking looked after me. You should have looked after me. I looked after you. I gave you so much of myself. I put in so much love into this relationship, friendship, whoever it is. I put so much of me into it, and you gave me fucking nothing in return. And I'm not doing it anymore. I'm focusing on me, and that's so hard because I'm not fucking perfect. I'm not perfect by any means. Nobody's perfect. But narcissists will believe they are. Narcissists will believe that they're perfect. They'll believe that they're beyond you. They're beyond being a human being. And they're not. They're just in a state of, I don't know. How can you know? How can you really truly know the mind of those kinds of people? And yeah, I think I'm just going to leave it there, because how can you? And why would you want to either? You get a taste for some. You know, if you are a human being and you've done things that you regret in your life, you've gotten a taste of what it's like to be like not the person that you want to be. And that's where we got an opportunity to self-improve. That's how I feel about it, basically. But yeah, that's it. And I can't remember the name of the channel, but I'm going to post it on. And if you did watch this, it's an hour. I'm sure you wouldn't want to spend an hour watching this video. If you did, thanks. And you know, I am not always trying to be, I'm working on not being such an asshole. It's hard. It's fucking hard. Really fucking hard, but I'm trying.